Some of the commonly discussed reasons why some people are calling for defunding the police and reforming the current policing system. Systemic racism and police brutality. Police departments have been criticized for using excessive force against people of color, resulting in countless deaths, injuries, and trauma. These incidents are not isolated and represent a systemic problem in policing that needs to be addressed. Over-policing and criminalization. The police have been used to enforce laws that disproportionately impact marginalized communities, leading to over-policing and criminalization of nonviolent offenses, such as drug possession, loitering, and jaywalking. Lack of accountability and transparency. Police departments are often shielded from public scrutiny, making it difficult to hold individual officers and departments accountable for misconduct and abuses of power. Allocation of resources. Some argue that police departments receive too much funding while other social programs, such as education and healthcare, are underfunded. Defunding the police could redirect those resources to other programs that may better serve communities. Need for a new approach. Many argue that the current policing system is not working and that a new approach is needed, such as community-based policing, restorative justice, and mental health crisis response teams. It's important to note that the idea of defunding the police is not necessarily about completely abolishing the police but rather reimagining and restructuring the current system. Different people have different opinions and beliefs regarding the topic, and it's essential to have a respectful and open-minded discussion to find a solution that benefits everyone. The history of policing in America can be traced back to the early colonial period when communities relied on volunteers to enforce local laws and maintain public order. However, the first modern police force in America was established in Boston in 1838. Over the next few decades, other cities followed suit, and by the late 1800s, most major American cities had their own police departments. During the 19th century, the primary function of police was to maintain order and prevent crime. Police officers were often poorly trained and equipped, and corruption and brutality were widespread. In many cases, police officers were used to suppress labor strikes and other forms of dissent. In the 20th century, policing evolved to focus more on crime control, with an emphasis on using scientific methods to investigate crimes and gather evidence. The Prohibition era in the 1920s and 30s brought about an increase in organized crime and a greater need for law enforcement, leading to the formation of specialized units such as the FBI and ATF. During the civil rights movement of the 1960s, police departments were often used to suppress protests and maintain racial segregation, leading to increased scrutiny and criticism of police practices. In response, police departments began to implement community policing programs, which emphasized collaboration with local communities to prevent crime and build trust. In recent years, incidents of police brutality and systemic racism have sparked renewed calls for police reform and reimagining the role of police in society. Many advocates argue that the current system is in need of significant changes to address issues such as racial profiling, excessive use of force, and lack of accountability. The history of policing in America is closely tied to the history of slavery, and the origins of modern policing can be traced back to slave patrols in the southern states. Slave patrols were groups of white men who were responsible for enforcing slave codes and preventing slave rebellions. They were formed in the 1700s and 1800s and operated in a similar manner to modern-day police forces, with patrols, investigations, and arrests. Slave patrols had the authority to enter any property, question any person, and use any means necessary to maintain order and control. After the Civil War and the abolition of slavery, many Southern states established new police departments to enforce the new laws that were put in place to control the newly freed black population. These laws, known as black codes, were used to restrict the rights of black people and limit their freedom. Police departments were also used to suppress civil rights protests and maintain segregation in the 1950s and 1960s, leading to increased scrutiny and criticism of police practices. The legacy of slavery and racism is still evident in many police departments today, with black and brown people disproportionately targeted by law enforcement and more likely to be victims of police violence. This has led to calls for reform and a rethinking of the role of police in society. Reallocating resources. Some advocates argue that police departments receive too much funding while other social programs, such as education, healthcare, and affordable housing, are underfunded. Defunding the police could redirect those resources to other programs that may better serve communities. Police brutality and misconduct. Many people are calling for defunding the police because of incidents of police brutality and misconduct. They believe that the current policing system is not working and that a new approach is needed, such as community-based policing, restorative justice, and mental health crisis response teams. Over-policing and criminalization. Some people argue that the police have been used to enforce laws that disproportionately impact marginalized communities, leading to over-policing and criminalization of non-violent offenses, such as drug possession, loitering, and jaywalking. Lack of accountability and transparency. Police departments are often shielded from public scrutiny, making it difficult to hold individual officers and departments accountable for misconduct and abuses of power. It's important to note that the idea of defunding the police is not necessarily about completely abolishing the police but rather reimagining and restructuring the current system. Different people have different opinions and beliefs regarding the topic, and it's essential to have a respectful and open-minded discussion to find a solution that benefits everyone.